Should be a great game.
Well, for more before the kick, let's go down to the field and say hi to Erin Andrews.
Hi. And for the Giants defense, there was no candy coating it. Linebacker Jonathan Casillas saying this will be their biggest test of this season for them. He said, don't look at the Steelers' record, look at their film. Offense is rolling from top to bottom, and because of that, their keys will be they have to be disciplined. They have to fight for all 4 quarters, and he did tell me they will know by the end of this game today just how good this Giants defense really is. Joe?
All right, Erin, thank you. Stay warm down there. It's going to get chilly as we move through this game in Week 13. And the Steelers will start this game with the football. And away we go. Glad you're with us today on Fox. Giants won the toss, by the way. They deferred. So we'll see them start the second half with the football. And right now, we'll see big number 7 trot out onto the field. A guy who knows how to win at home. A guy who knows how to win down the stretch in the month of December. And he's got great numbers overall here at Heinz Field this season.
Yeah, they're pretty explosive offensively, and you see the numbers that Ben Roethlisberger has put up, and really coming off 3 excellent games. He came back from the knee injury probably a little bit early in that loss to the Baltimore Ravens, but he has been red hot here the last 3 weeks.
The Ravens have won, so the Steelers need a win here to keep pace and get to 7-5. Out of the backfield, it's Le'Veon Bell, and over the right side, a good start offensively for the Steelers as Jason Pierre-Paul is downfield to make the stop. 2nd and 2 coming up, and you look at some of the numbers offensively for the Steelers, points per game, where they are in total yards, and how good they are on 3rd down, where they are 11th best in the NFL. Second and 2. Handoff now, and Bell is going to be hit by Landon Collins, but fall forward for a gain of 3 and a first down as Bell has touched it twice. You look at this Giants defense, and it has been playing better and better and better. And during, Troy, this 6-game winning streak for the Giants overall, the numbers are fantastic.
They really are, and Giants fans certainly have heard it all season long how bad they were last year. They went out and addressed it in the offseason, spent a lot of money, but each week this year they have gotten better and better, playing great right now.
Here's Bell taking his time. He is a patient running back. He gets a couple, and it's almost eerie how quiet 65,050 can be in a stadium with the Steelers on offense, and Mike Tomlin, a tremendous record. He's been a Super Bowl champion, the youngest to do it at the age of 36, in his 10th season in charge of the Steelers.
You look at this team too, Joe, and you mentioned the Ravens winning, and now the Steelers trying to keep pace. And last year this was a team that was 6-5 as well, and they went on to win 4 of their last 5 games. It's a Steelers team historically that could come on strong at the end.
I think we're going to see a lot of Bell today, and Le'Veon carries it across the 40 to the 41. Collins on the stop, a gain of 3, and the first 3rd down coming up of the ball game.
Well, and as we know, this is a Giants defense that has been really good against the run, and yet the Steelers over the last couple of weeks especially have done a heck of a job of getting the ball to Le'Veon Bell and having success. And this down, however, the Giants have shown much improvement here in recent weeks of being able to get off the field on 3rd down.
Saw Ben McAdoo and what he's been able to accomplish as a rookie head coach, winning 6 straight for the Giants, first time since 1925. Here's Brown. Antonio Brown has got a first down on a quick hitter from Big Ben as he went around Casillas, picked up 6, and a first down for Pittsburgh.
They're soft on the outside. You see they go trips to the right. They get the ball to Brown underneath, and he's caught into the congestion. It opens up with the receivers releasing up the field, and the Steelers are able to convert their first 3rd down.
Antonio Brown now is over 1,000 yards for the season. He's got 83 catches, and he led the league coming into this Week 13.
They got Janoris Jenkins matched up on him now, and expect to see that matchup for most of the afternoon.
They put him in motion. Jenkins doesn't go with him, and Roethlisberger is going to dump it off. Bell, left side. Casillas is over there, along with Jenkins, and a gain of 9. Second down and 1.
Well, they motion Antonio Brown across the formation. Janoris Jenkins does not go with him. Roethlisberger knows immediately Giants are in zone coverage. They jam up Brown off the line of scrimmage. He can't deliver the ball out that direction. He comes back underneath to Bell and picks up a nice gain.
Since Le'Veon came into the NFL in 2013, he has averaged over 120 yards from scrimmage per game. By far the best number in the NFL. High snap, quick throw, incomplete for Brown. Now 3rd and 1.
Well, you watch Le'Veon Bell, and as you said, Joe, just a dynamic football player, and he's such a good runner, and what we've seen is his ability to catch the football. 59 catches this season, and we saw him against the Dallas Cowboys. He made a lot of nice catches in that one. He's a dangerous football player wherever he lines up on the field, and they're not afraid to use it in both areas.
3rd down and 1. Play action from Roethlisberger. Pass dropped. Jesse James had 1st down yardage and could not make the catch.
He made that a tougher catch than what it needed to be. He's catching the ball as though it's going to be up around his chest, but it's coming down low, and he just is not able to bring that in for what should have been a very easy 3rd down conversion.
Now Dwayne Harris is back. There was talk during the week so whether the Giants would stick with Odell Beckham as their punt returner. Not at the moment. And this high punt, end over end, is out of bounds. Off the foot of Jordan Berry, and they're going to mark it at the 15. That's where Eli Manning will start his day. No score early in Pittsburgh.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency.
First possession for the Giants, winners of 6 straight, starting at their own 15. Handoff is to Jennings, and Rashad Jennings picks up 3. By the way, we will see Odell Beckham return punts. This is why we know that. Beckham was coming on to return that first punt, and then maybe because of where they were on the field, backed up. They brought him out, sent Dwayne Harris into the game, and Harris stayed away from a punt that went out of bounds at the 15. Second and 7 out of the backfield. Pass is caught by Jennings, but nothing. And the play made by Artie Burns, the rookie, who is taking over at that cornerback position as the season has worn on. And here's Eli Manning, who's making his 195th consecutive start. 3rd and 8. Wide snap. Eli gets rid of it, dumps it off to Jennings, and Rashad Jennings is across the 35. A heads-up play by Eli Manning and a catch and run of 20 yards.
Well, it sure was. I think you can expect some edge pressure from the Steelers throughout this game against these offensive tackles, and there is here on the first 3rd down, but a clean pocket in the middle allow Eli to step up, and he knows where his check down is when there was pressure, and he gets it to Rashad Jennings. That's a big 1st down conversion.
Now at their 37, here's Jennings right side. He's wrapped up after a gain of, let's call it 2. Play made by Lawrence Timmons. And this offense for the Giants, they're still trying to find a rhythm, and they still have not put up a 30-point game offensively.
No, they've had a tough time. This was the unit coming into this year based on last season, and then the 3rd year in Ben McAdoo's offense just expected a lot more, and it has been a fight for them. They were held to under 300 yards last week against a poor Cleveland defense. 2nd down and 8. Here is a screen for Jennings. He's been busy.
Jennings can't make the 45. A gain of 4. Lawrence Timmons on the stop. The question's all week, who would be at left guard for the Giants? The answer is Marshall Newhouse. Adam Geddes got his first NFL start last week at Cleveland, and it's been Pugh. Now Newhouse for the second time. Brett Jones and Geddes, who's not active today. 3rd and 4. Protected. Gonna air it out. Downfield, it's Adams, and the tight end up to get it. Defended by William Gay, and the pass incomplete. It's 4th down.
There's good pass protection by this offensive line. Trying to work Sterling Shepard in the middle of the field. Eli Manning doesn't like it, and typically you throw a ball late down the field, good things are not going to happen, but he's got one-on-one with Gerald Adams and a big guy, and you give him a shot. But the Steelers are able to hold up, get off the field here on 3rd down.
Now Brad Wing, who was traded from the Steelers to the Giants in 2015, it's a beauty, but will it stay out of the end zone? Nope. Second possession coming for the Steelers. No score early in Pittsburgh.
Today's game is sponsored by Bud Light. Make the right call. Drink responsibly.
Take a look at the comparison postseason careers for Eli Manning and Ben Roethlisberger. They will forever be linked because of the draft of 2004. Taken 10 picks apart. Eli Manning first overall by San Diego. Ben Roethlisberger 11th overall by the Steelers. And he found instant success. Sideline, James gets another chance. And this time there for the catch and a gain of 15 yards.
Yeah, that was a pretty good team that year that Ben Roethlisberger got to play behind when he came in as a rookie. And I talked with Ernie Accorsi, and there really was not much difference in his opinion between Eli Manning and Ben Roethlisberger. What you remember, however, is when the Chargers took Eli Manning, Ernie Accorsi with the Giants, he drafted Phillip Rivers because he thought and believed that that was a quarterback that the Chargers wanted in order to cut the deal with them and get Eli Manning signed. So that's who he drafted. But he liked Roethlisberger and Eli Manning the best.
Here's Bell, and a lot of dancing around. He gets back to the line of scrimmage, and he was swarmed.
Don't take all of them.
And just to follow up, Phillip Rivers, by the way, 4-5 in his postseason career. Yet I know there's a part of you that thinks Phillip Rivers in a different situation is a guy that we might be talking about like Eli.
I absolutely do. I think he's a terrific player, and you look at the resumes, it's hard to argue against these two guys playing today with 2 world championships. But yeah, Phillip Rivers is, in my opinion, every bit as good as these two guys. And that was a heck of a draft class. Not the '83 draft class, but awfully good.
Penalty flags before the snap. Giants wanted a false start. It didn't look like the play clock had expired, and Roethlisberger saying, "What's the call?"
False start.
Flag.
Offense number 26. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
That was a delayed false start call against Le'Veon Bell. Well, the draft class of 1983 and 2004 produced some of the game's best quarterbacks. In '83, you've got Elway, Jim Kelly, Dan Marino, Hall of Famers. And in 2004, at least a couple of guys that will be in consideration for the Hall of Fame, each already with 2 championships between Ben and Eli. 2nd and 15. Here's Bell with a blocker in front. Le'Veon Bell takes it into Giants territory. And after the false start, he gets that back and more, a gain of 21.
Well, you're going to see Marquise Pouncey, number 53. He comes out and does a nice job of kind of helping spring Le'Veon Bell with the block. And then, of course, you got David DeCastro, the right guard. He's out in front as well. It was a good timed screen pass, and Le'Veon Bell, good things happen when the ball's in his hands. Blue 80!
Bell's already touched it 7 times now, 8. Flag is down, and Bell is down after first down yardage. He got 12. And there's actually 2 flags now down on the field. One just after the snap, and then one sitting back where the offensive line was blocking for Le'Veon. And both against Pittsburgh.
2 fouls on the offense. Illegal formation, offense. The tight end was covered. That penalty's declined. Holding, offense number 82. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Get a hold on David Johnson, the tight end. Coming around right there as he gets Eli Apple.
And he didn't have to. When you've got a guy like Le'Veon Bell, Le'Veon does a heck of a job, even on that play, of setting up the block. He really helps these blockers. And when I was getting ready for this ball game, watching Le'Veon Bell, Joe, I hate making comparisons. He reminded me so much of Barry Sanders, and he just does some incredible things. Very patient, has great vision. The difference with him is he takes very few runs for negative yards. He has the fewest negative yards as a percentage in the NFL.
There he is again, but can't make the catch. He was thinking downfield before he secured the catch. And Le'Veon, who, despite all the accolades, started this season suspended for the first 3 games of the year, his second suspension.
77.
And so the numbers could be even better.
Well, hey, Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator for the Giants, he knows the 2 guys he's got to be able to control is Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. Just about this entire offense goes through those 2 guys. They're a handful.
Second down and 20 now. Here's Antonio Brown right on cue, and he tiptoes down the sideline and hops out inches inside Giants territory as he got 8. Le'Veon Bell, just to finish, since the start of last year, a possible 29 games, has played in 14 because of suspension, injury. But when he's out there on the field, he is as dynamic as any running back, carrying it or lining up as a receiver. He is deadly downfield.
Well, I asked Todd Haley if he wasn't a running back, do you think he could make a living in this league as a wide receiver? And Todd Haley, who sees him every day, said he absolutely believes he could. He can run every route when they split him out wide.
3rd down and 12. Giants bail out of a blitz, and the pass broken up. And this Giants defense off to a pretty good start as Eli Rogers couldn't make the catch. Hit by Landon Collins. It's 4th down.
Well, that's a good job by this Giants defense. They show blitz, they rush 4, and then they bail out, and they're able to get off the field as they put a hit on Roethlisberger. And as I said moments ago, it's a defense that through about 7 games this year, one of the worst in the league getting off the field on 3rd down. The last 4 games, they have been outstanding, one of the best in the league.
Same situation, so it's Dwayne Harris waiting back at the 10. And a fair catch inside the 10-yard line. The Giants will have the ball for the 2nd time, no score on America's Game of the Week. Another week, another hit, another grimace on the face of Ben Roethlisberger. Here comes number 10, no score.
Game on Fox is sponsored by Chevrolet. More 2016 J.D. Power Dependability Awards than any other brand. By Samsung Pay. Turn your phone into your wallet. And by the Spark Cash Card from Capital One.
Wave those terrible towels. No score, 4 minutes left in the opening quarter. First drive started at the 15. This one starts at the 9. First possession, Jennings, 5 touches for 28 yards. Perkins back there now. Eli airs it out, downfield, Beckham, and a flag. A lot of hand checking and a grab from Ross Cockrell. And they're going to call it against Beckham.
Pass interference. Offense number 13. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
You like the call?
Well, I didn't live. I'm now seeing what the official saw when Beckham came in with the right hand. Initially, I just thought it was an easy call, that it was going to be on Cockrell. Cockrell never even turned to try to play the ball. He was completely out of position. And I think that Beckham, he used that right hand, which is what the call was for, and he really didn't have to. Right there is what the official saw, and even before that, there was a right arm around the shoulder pad of Cockrell.
So now 1st and 14, the ball inside the 5. Manning in the end zone, dangerous, gets rid of it, incomplete for Shepard. 2nd and 14, and there's big James Harrison, 3rd straight start for number 92.
Guy's pretty incredible, 38 years old, and they started to get more production when they put him back in the lineup at outside linebacker. He just keeps finding ways to get to the quarterback, and he's had 4 sacks in the last 4 games that he's played.
And the Steelers have had 11 over their last 2. Here's Perkins, nowhere to go. And then slammed into by the rookie safety, Sean Davis.
Perkins.
This Sean Davis, he's one of those rookies that's playing for this defense that has gotten more playing time here in recent weeks. And I know when we were here just a few weeks ago, Mike Tomlin said it's just a matter of time before he's going to be inserted as the starter, and he was the very next week. And each of these young players has really contributed to this defense.
3rd down and 14. Manning steps up, hits Beckham. Beckham has got enough for a 1st down, but there is a flag in the end zone. This is a hold.
Offense number 74. The foul occurred in the end zone.
That's a safety.
Well, that's the left tackle, Eric Flowers. Let's take a look. James Harrison gets into him. I don't see any hold there, though. I don't see a hold by Flowers that warranted. I guess he got the right arm there around the helmet. That's what the call was.
So it's a safety for a holding in the end zone, and a 2-0 lead for the Steelers in the 1st. Flowers guilty of the hold in the end zone, which leads to, by rule, a safety. And here's Beckham. Beckham thought for the longest time that it was going to be defensive pass interference. And Beckham firing the ball against the heater on the sideline. And Ben McAdoo, once he got over to the sideline on the Giants side, had to calm him down, and we've seen that before, and Beckham trying to exhale.
That's when having a call sheet that's the size of a poster board that comes in handy. You're able to have some private conversations.
Here's the free kick by Wing, and Brown. He's got room to move. Antonio Brown showing what he can do, and out of bounds at the 35. Brad Wing forced him out. Seattle and Toronto make it to the MLS Cup for the first time ever. Jordan Morris and the Sounders and Josie Altidore and Toronto FC fight for their chance to make Major League Soccer history. Who will hoist the cup? Saturday at 7:30 Eastern, only on Fox, or watch it live on Fox Sports Go.
Yeah, let's talk about that safety for a minute. The first 2 possessions for the Giants start inside the 20-yard line, and that led to the safety. They get backed up, and then, of course, with the hold with Eric Flowers. But special teams for the Pittsburgh Steelers playing a role in the 2 points that are on the board.
And on that hold in the end zone, it erased what was a conversion on 3rd and 14 on a completion to Beckham. So a frustrating start for the New York Giants here on the road, trying to keep their winning streak alive. And there's the hold with the right arm around the helmet of Harrison.
That was a good call, and like I said, I think that when you're talking about James Harrison and these outside linebackers for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the tackles for the Giants, they They have given up some pressures, and Eric Flowers being one of those guys. And we'll see if Ben McAdoo at some point doesn't try to give them some help.
2nd down and 7 for Pittsburgh. Pass dropped. And this time it's Ladarius Green.
Pass intended for
He's in his 4th game back. Coming back from ankle surgery. Was off the physically unable to perform list, and they really want to get him integrated into this offense.
Yeah, and they were able to do that on Thanksgiving night against the Indianapolis Colts. He had 2 catches for 67 yards, and he gives them a threat down the middle of the field, which they have lacked. I talked about Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, really the offense going through those 2 guys, but Ladarius Green gives them a viable option down the middle. He just lost focus on that last ball.
Already 3 drops for the Steelers. Here's one floated for Green, and Ladarius Green down inside the 25. There is nobody better when a play breaks down than Ben Roethlisberger, and he found his big tight end.
Well, initially he's trying to hit the home run down the field to Antonio Brown, but the Giants, they play it perfectly, and then the Giants just lose sight of Ladarius Green. And how about the offensive line? Last 2 weeks have not given up a sack. They've really done a heck of a job in pass protection, and that play doesn't happen if Ben doesn't have the time that he has.
37-yarder to Green. Now Bell left side. Play is strung out. And a loss of a yard. Olivier Vernon just made that last play, and we go back to that 37-yarder to Green.
Yeah, you see Ben Roethlisberger as he's trying to get the ball down the field, and then is just able to buy some time, as we've seen throughout his career. And the Giants just have a bust. They don't stay with Ladarius Green. Big play.
And now Green all smiles after that drop. You mentioned last week catches of 32 and 35 yards at Indianapolis on Thanksgiving. Now a 37-yarder. Here is a throw to no one in particular by Le'Veon Bell. That play broke down, didn't work. 3rd and 11 coming up.
There's Todd Haley, and this has been a challenge for him as the play caller. I think he's done a heck of a job when you think of the wide receivers that they have lost. You know, Martavis Bryant, he hasn't been available all year. He's one of their big play guys, had high expectations for him. Marcus Wheaton, he goes on IR. They're without Darius Hayward-Bay. He's injured. And then Sammy Coates, heck, he's been playing with broken fingers for about the last 4 or 5 weeks. And yet Todd Haley's been finding ways to get people involved and move the football.
3rd and 11, pass is caught and immediately brought down as Kobe Hamilton, and a good play by Eli Apple. That'll bring up 4th down. And one of the storylines in this game is the presence of Randy Bullock. Chris Boswell, the typical field goal kicker for the Steelers, went down on Friday with an abdomen injury, and so the Steelers reached out in a pinch to Randy Bullock, who actually started this season with the Giants, played week 1. The 26-year-old has had a career with Houston, the Jets, the Giants, and now Pittsburgh. And it's 5-0. 44-yarder. And Bullock says, hello, nice to meet you. My name's Randy. And I just made it 5-0. 5-0 game, Pittsburgh on top. All 3 Steeler possessions have crossed midfield, but those drives have produced just 3 points. A defensive score on a safety, on a holding in the end zone by Eric Flowers, and Bullock, hours into his time with the Steelers, hits a 44-yarder in a place where it's tough to kick. Here's Harris on the return. And Dwayne Harris knocked down at the 29 by Shamarko Thomas. 22-yard return. Eli Manning in the offense for the Giants will have it when we start the second. Beginning of quarter number 2 in a 5-0 game. Pittsburgh on top. Giants' first 2 possessions, 8 plays, 28 yards, and they ended the first quarter with 1 first down. Ball control, time of possession dominated by Pittsburgh. From the 29, pass is caught. That's the rookie Sterling Shepard. And they're going to give him a first down. Artie Burns, rookie on rookie in the coverage.
Yeah, they've targeted him now a couple times. He wasn't targeted at all in that win last week against the Cleveland Browns, and Eli Manning this week felt so bad about not even giving him an opportunity. He apologized to him, after the ball game, and that's a first for me. But he's had a heck of a rookie season and has done a lot.
Hand off to Jennings. Did you ever apologize to a receiver for not getting him the football? I don't care if his name was Irvin or Harper.
I don't recall, but I think I laugh about it. I think it says a lot about Eli and probably even more about the job that Sterling Shepard has done this year. And he plays a lot of the slot formation stuff. Not easy to do for a young receiver. You got to learn a lot. You got to know all the combinations around you. But boy, he has been really good here in his first season.
Shazier came across, free play, pass is broken up and flags on the end of it. This looks like a free play and then interference defensively with Beckham downfield, and that is the call. See if it's interference or a hold. Both appear to be against Pittsburgh.
Offside, that penalty's declined. Pass interference, defense number 31. Automatic first down.
Well, this time the call is against Cockrell.
Yeah, but watch Eric Flowers there at left tackle. He probably gets away with a hold there on James Harrison. One that he got called for that gave up the safety, but free play and Cockrell, that was actually pretty good coverage initially. He didn't have to grab him.
So now the Giants inside Steeler territory at the 41.
Take it to 50, take it to 50. 118, what's up?
Jennings, a gain of just 2. Shazier on the tackle. Let's go to Carissa with a game break.
Thanks, Joe. San Diego was up 7-0 when Doug Martin punches this one in. Bucs looking for their 4th straight win. We are all tied up in San Diego. Joe, Troy, and Aaron.
And trying to match the Atlanta Falcons at the top of the South at 7-5.
How sick are the Falcons right now?
They lost it on a 2-point conversion return.
Wow.
Against him and lost by 1. To Andy Reid and the Chiefs. Pass caught. Shepard, well played. That's William Gay, the veteran who's played more slot. With the emergence of Artie Burns, a gain of just 2.
Well, you're going to see Stephon Tuitt, number 91, who he's able to just shuck Weston Richburg, the center, and he has a straight line on Eli Manning. And you look at the sack totals for this Giants team. They're second in the league, giving up just 14 sacks on the year, and I will tell you that has more to do with Eli Manning getting the ball out of his hands than the protection that he's been afforded.
3rd down and 5. And they hand it off. Jennings. Looks like he got it, and he did. A first down carry for Rashad Jennings. Brought down by Bud Dupree, who made the start in this game. In his 2nd game back off a groin injury, activated off IR.
That's got to make Ben McAdoo happy. They just have had a hard time sustaining drives and converting 3rd downs.
Posty.
Here's Jennings, and a nice play is made. That's the rookie Sean Davis. A loss of 1, and you can see why Mike Tomlin is excited about number 28 in an organization that's known for great safety play over the years, whether it's Donnie Shell or Carnell Lake or Troy Polamalu. Now they've got a young kid in Sean Davis they love.
Yeah, we've seen him up around the line of scrimmage here, and he's also one of these new safeties who has some cornerback in his background, and so he's a pretty good cover guy as well.
2nd and 11. Pass is caught. Flag is down, and so Shepard.
Pass complete to Shepard.
Holding, offense number 77. 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
That's John Jerry, the right guard. And that negates a 21-yard completion to Sterling Shepard.
John Jerry, 77, the right guard. Ryan Shazier, number 50, is. This is a little better look at it, see exactly what happened. He's got definitely his right arm around him, and you know what happens is you get lazy with your feet and you get out of position and you start grabbing and reaching and lunging for guys, and a couple costly penalties now. There's a big gain to Shepard that comes back.
Second and 21 instead of first and goal. And the ball back at the 41. All alone is Will Tye. And the tight end just tripped up at the 25. It was Sean Davis who saved what might have been a touchdown. Definitely a bigger play. A gain of 16.
We're going to see Ryan Shazier. He's going here with Rashad Jennings. Nobody then in the middle for the tight end. That was the safety's responsibility there. He doesn't come up and make a play. And that's what allows Will Tye to just catch the ball in the middle of the field and make this a manageable third down.
3rd and 5.
Right two. No.
Pass caught. Beckham first down as he spins near the 15. And in a game that features Beckham and Antonio Brown, we haven't heard much from either. This a gain of 10 and a first down to Beckham.
You see the window right here that Eli Manning sees. He just got to get his receiver in there. Odell Beckham versus the zone. He finds it. He's able to pick up the nice gain, and there's the activity after the play.
That's Mike Mitchell, who is the enforcer at free safety for the Steelers and a guy who wants to get under the skin of Beckham. Pass caught. Will Tye again inside the 10. So the Giants, who are inside the red zone, they come in number 13 in the NFL. Ben McAdoo's offense at scoring touchdowns, 61%, 2nd and 4.
Well, they run Will Tye off the field. They bring Larry Donnell in, who's kind of been a bit lost over the last few weeks. He's here in the middle.
10th play of the drive, 2nd and 4. End zone, pass hit, intercepted. It's Timmons back the other way. Lawrence Timmons out of bounds near the 40.
I don't know if Eli Manning just didn't see Lawrence Timmons or he just thought he could fit it in before he got there, but gets a little more on it. He has a guy and a chance, but a great play by Timmons.
This game is sponsored by the new 2017 Jeep Grand Cherokee, free to be.
It was the 11th career interception for number 94. This organization is swimming in good linebackers with Moats and Chickalo and Dupree, Shazier, Timmons.
Well, here's Lawrence Timmons. He's the linebacker. He's up in the line of scrimmage. He's the one who comes out underneath and makes the interception. And Eli Manning trying to hold Mike Mitchell, the safety, to the middle of the field. It looked like he maybe lost sight of Timmons or thought he could fit it in there, but it was a heck of a grab by Timmons. You talk about that linebacker group, 4 first-rounders in that meeting room.
Roethlisberger finds the tight end, and James takes it inside the 30.
See, Eli, he initially glances out. He knows he's got Donnell, and then he comes back, and he's trying to get Mike Mitchell to move further to the middle of the field and open up the throwing lane and then fit it in there. And Timmons goes up and makes a play on that ball. Costly red zone interception.
32nd career red zone interception for Eli Manning. Still a 5-0 game. Jonathan Hankins, who's playing so well, was down and obviously limping now on the sideline. So Robert Thomas comes in for the Giants. First down in a 5-0 game.
180.
Handoff is to Bell, going to bounce it to the edge. good block from Jesse James. Here's the injury. There's Hankins coming in at the end of it.
See, he's kind of having at his leg there. You called it though, Joe. He's had a heck of a season. You know, last week everybody was talking about the touchdown that Jason Pierre-Paul had. Well, it doesn't happen without the pressure of Jonathan Hankins. He's the one who got the ball knocked loose. JPP happened to be in the right place at the right time. But as far as this run defense, without Hankins in there, you know, him and Damon Harrison, they are the two big bodies that have controlled the middle of the field.
Calling it a bruised thigh for Hankins. Roethlisberger, end zone, pass is caught. Touchdown, Antonio Brown. And let's take another look. What a catch.
What a catch. And see whether or not his feet were in, and let's see if he controls it all the way through, and that is a touchdown. And when Ben Roethlisberger cut this ball loose, it looked like it was going to be intercepted.
See the right elbow come down inbounds by Antonio Brown. Meanwhile, no surprise, the Steelers are going to go for two.
Like that was Leon Hall who initially was in a position. He just overran it. There's no defender or no receiver to the outside, and Leon Hall he overruns it to some reason, runs over to the flat, and then one-on-one with Janoris Jenkins, and he's not seeing the play. And touchdown Pittsburgh Steelers. And like you said, Mike Tomlin, who's been pretty good on two-point conversions and was good prior to the Cowboys game when he was 0 for 4, is going for two here.
Touchdown is confirmed. The elbow comes down in bounds and going for two. 3 for 7, 0 for 4 in that Dallas game with the Steelers. 3 for 3 otherwise.
Ringo.
Make it a 13-0 game. They don't get it. Maybe it's our fault somehow. We're here for that Dallas game. Here's the touchdown with Antonio Brown, number 11 on the season. And his buddy Odell Beckham with a smile and an 11-0 game.
Today's Game on Fox is sponsored by Citizen Echo Drive watches, powered by Light.
Well, it's been an unbelievable combination. Big Ben to Antonio Brown, the 49th career touchdown pass between those two. Ben to Antonio, and that ties Terry Bradshaw to Lynn Swann for the best in franchise history. 49 times they've hooked up. And we go back to a look at the touchdown.
I watch Leon Hall here. He's playing safety. He's played corner most of his career. He's been working a little bit of safety with the Giants. But look, he's in a great position when the ball is getting ready to be thrown. I just don't know where he's going. He's running to the boundary for some reason. Eyes should have been on Antonio Brown. There's no other receiver to his side of the field. And when Ben Roethlisberger breaks contain and turns it loose, Leon Hall actually was in position, if he had just stopped, to have an interception. And like I said, Janoris Jenkins, he was never able to get turned around either, but that's the confidence that Roethlisberger has in Antonio Brown and giving him opportunities, and more times than not, he delivers.
Last time Eli had the ball in his hands, the Giants were in position to take the lead. Now they're down 11, and here is a near pick. Shepard was the intended target.
Well, Sean Davis almost had his first interception.
Yeah, Eli Manning and Sterling Shepard were not on the same page. The first 3 possessions, punt, safety, interception, not a good start.
No, not a good start, and it's kind of a carryover from what we saw last week. With the exception of 3 drives in that game against Cleveland, it was pretty ugly offensive football.
Delayed handoff to Perkins. He's got some room to run. And Perkins with a nice carry for 6. Ryan Shazier on the tackle. And just to finish the story on the safety position for the Giants, have been hit hard by injury back there. Matt Burhay out with a concussion in this game that put Darian Thompson, a rookie, on IR. That's why Leon Hall's even trying to play safety, and it did not work on the touchdown to Antonio Brown. Now 3rd and 4 for Manning. Blitz. Manning with protection and then throws it into the ground in the direction of Will Tye. 4th down.
Thought that was good protection by the Giants this time. That the Steelers bring a 4-man rush, and Eli panicked a little bit in the pocket, because you're going to see they pick it up pretty good. And he has a chance to hang in there, and if he comes out and delivers a good football, that's a 1st down.
Antonio Brown back for the
Overall,
Steelers.
they've been pretty good here in the first half on 3rd down, but as an offense, it continues to be a struggle.
Antonio Brown waiting for the punt. Flag is down, and Brown with a fair catch at the 30. 2 flags.
During the kick, holding receiving team number 33. 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
That's against Toussaint. Now wait a minute, hold on a second.
5. That penalty's declined. Timeout.
So now Terry McCauley was alerted there was another flag. That penalty declined. Steelers have it up 11. Well, first-year head coach Ben McAdoo grew up in Homer City, Pennsylvania, about an hour east, a little north of Pittsburgh. A 1995 graduate of Homer Center Junior Senior High School. And his quote, "It wasn't a steel town, it was a coal town. My father was a coal miner, and I married the daughter of a coal miner." He talked about the grit of people growing up in that area. And
He didn't want to talk much about coming home.
no,
though,
not
did
at all.
he? This was purely a business trip for him, and he was not going there.
He was worried about the Steelers, and the Steelers have an 11-0 lead and the ball at their own 20. Screen is set up for David Johnson. Didn't work. Aaron Andrews, I know you have more on Ben.
Yeah, he didn't want to talk to us much about it, so I had to start texting his boyhood friends. I talked to a gentleman by the name of Mark who said at least 4 buses were coming into town from Homer City, and a lot of those people didn't even have tickets to the game today, guys. They just wanted to watch on the bus. A lot of confusion about if they'd be Giants fans or Steelers fans. They said it was a lot like when the Steelers played the Packers. McAdoo was coaching over there for the Super Bowl.
I guess we should thank that gentleman by the name of Mark.
Mark.
For getting back to you. Thank you, Mark.
2nd down and 10. Hand off to Bell. Gets almost 8. Imagine Mark getting a text from, "Hey, it's Aaron Andrews. What's up? Just want to talk to you about Ben." Kind of the cradle of coaches around here, Western PA. Bill Cowher, Mike Ditka, who's in black and white photo because of the perm. Chuck Knox, Marvin Lewis, Ted Marchibroda, Mike McCarthy, Marty Schottenheimer. This is just football central.
I don't know how many wins that adds up to amongst that group, but that's a lot of football games. There's some outstanding coaches right there.
Cradle of coaches, cradle of quarterbacks. 3rd down and 3. Ben protected. Pass is caught for a 1st down by Ladarius Green, a gain of 9.
This offensive line, I think one of the reasons why they've continued to get better as an offense has been the way the offensive line has come together. They've been banged up a little bit and done a good job in protection throughout the season. They're running the ball better here in the last couple of weeks, and Ladarius Green able to create some separation for his quarterback.
I don't know that the national conversation centers much around the Steelers maybe representing the AFC in Super Bowl 51. But for me, I think they should be heavily involved in the conversation. You've got a New England team that just lost Rob Gronkowski. Now they have to win the division, and they have to beat a Ravens team that right now they're neck and neck with. They need a win here to climb to 7-5. But this team, when they get on a roll because of that offensive line and Ben, who's been there before, the way the defense is playing, this team could be a Super Bowl team.
Oh, I believe that as well, and many picked them coming into the season, and they're a talented group. They have the potential to be really good, and they can win from both of their units, offensively and defensively.
2nd down and 6. Roethlisberger over the middle, and Green can't make the catch. Great coverage by Landon Collins. Let's go to Kurt with a game break.
Well, both Tampa and San Diego trying to get in that playoff conversation. Melvin Gordon, little 2-yard run, his 10th rushing touchdown of the year. San Diego up by 7 in the second quarter. The Chargers, surprisingly, have won 4 out of 6. Nobody's talking about that much either, Joe.
Well, they've got a ton of talent. You look at the AFC West, and San Diego is at the bottom of it, trying to even their record with a win over Tampa Bay, 6-6. Third down and 6. Roethlisberger, pass is caught. Kobe Hamilton, who was activated off the practice squad in October, and somebody not named Antonio Brown is trying to step up as a receiver for Roethlisberger. Maybe it's 83.
Well, they do like him. I mean, he didn't join the team until week 6, but how about Le'Veon Bell? He comes in and he helps pick up the pressure on the inside and secure things for Ben Roethlisberger, one-on-one with Kobe Hamilton, and they pick up the first down.
Hey, Harpoon! Harpoon! Hey, 5-7. Monday. 280! 280!
Roethlisberger over the middle, pass caught by Bell to the 41. Keenan Robinson on the tackle, a gain of 7.
Kobe Hamilton, as we saw make that third down reception, and not a guy who really has been targeted all that often. Within the passing game, he really is primarily a blocker. He does an excellent job there. But yet they have gotten them the ball every now and then, and that doesn't look like much when this game's all said and done. But that reception there helps keep this drive alive. We'll see what happens at the end of it.
All 5 Steeler possessions have crossed midfield. Here's Brown, and he's got the first down. It's a good combination with Todd Haley, a really smart offensive coordinator. He and Ben Roethlisberger now have really gelled. And I agree with you. A lot of moving parts for this Steelers team, but they're getting a rhythm now.
Well, Todd Haley, I think he's an excellent offensive mind. Think of the things that he was able to do with Kurt Warner there in Arizona. And they were on the same page. He comes here. He changes the whole offensive scheme, really. And he changed the way Ben Roethlisberger was used to playing the quarterback position. I think Ben would tell you it's been really good for him, the things that he's been able to do, get the ball out of his hands.
Here's Bell. And he's into the arms of Jay Bromley, a gain of 3.
And to kind of go back to your point, Joe, as far as this team, if they're able to get into the postseason, I mean, hey, they're dangerous, and they can explode on offense with a lot of different weapons when they're all healthy.
2-minute warning here in Pittsburgh. 11-0 Steelers. Follow your favorite team all season long. Go to itunes.com/NFL. 2 minutes left, first half. And there's Cody Sensabaugh leaving out with a rib injury. His return is questionable, as they are saying at the moment. 2nd and 7 here. Giants defense needs to stop Bell. Looking for room, and he won't get it. Play is made by Jonathan Casillas. No gain now, 3rd down, and a timeout taken by the Giants. That's their first. Here comes Kurt with a sneak peek as to what's coming up at the half.
Coming up on the Visa Halftime, we'll check in on all today's games around the league and try to find out what these guys are thinking about the Chiefs and Falcons, the Broncos versus the Jags, and whatever else is on their mind. That's all coming up on the Visa Halftime.
Visa Halftime is coming up, and Eli Manning and Odell Beckham talking on the sideline, hoping to get one more crack at this with some time on the clock, and they should. 1:50 and 2 timeouts left. This is a big 3rd down and 7 here in this first half.
One-on-one on the bottom. Right here with Antonio Brown and Janoris Jenkins.
Roethlisberger, he's got Eli Rogers. A flag is thrown on the play. Rogers has got a first down, depending on the call. The Giants indicate it's against Pittsburgh, and it is.
Pass interference. Offense number 89. 10-yard penalty. 3rd down.
It's on Ladarius Green, and tries to run what would be a natural pick, but it's not natural when you run into the defender. He's got to get a little bit better acting skills than that. But the Giants initially show one-on-one at the bottom on Antonio Brown. They help with the safety, and that's why Roethlisberger works back to the middle of the field. And I think that was a good call by the officials.
And a big call. It knocks the Steelers out of field goal range at the moment. Brings up 3rd and 17. So they go short. Hope for big things from Rodgers, and he's got it. How about that call from Todd Haley?
Well run. You're going to see the tight end David Johnson and then Marcus Gilbert here, the right tackle, and look at the job that he does. He gets out in front and the block there, and Eli Rodgers gets in behind him, and that's a big pickup.
18 yards on 3rd and 17. Meanwhile, it looks like Jason Pierre-Paul is down. And there's Haley. Good call, and it worked. Well, it was Jason Pierre-Paul who is now leaving the playing field, going inside to get a look, and watch it. Number 90 makes that move and then just kind of goes down. He's helped to his feet, able to walk off under his own power because of the injury.
Hey, 5-2.
It goes down as a charge timeout with a moving clock inside of 2 minutes. Giants down to 1 timeout. Roethlisberger is set. And a big sack for the Giants. It's Olivier Vernon. And he wasn't alone.
Well, you can credit that on the coverage by Janoris Jenkins, trying to run a little bit of a double move on the outside, one-on-one, and you see Roethlisberger starts to work him, and then he comes back and he has to hold it, and Olivier Vernon just continues to play. The inside push, and as Roethlisberger steps up, Vernon comes underneath and makes the tackle.
Vernon's been on a roll. First year of a 5-year, $85 million deal, and he's now got a sack in 5 straight games.
He's really come on too, and he had that hand injury as we see JPP walk off, really uncertain as to what exactly they're going to be looking at. But Olivier Vernon, 5th straight game with a sack, and his hand was a problem earlier. It seems to be getting healthier. He doesn't talk much about it, but he has really come on, as has this entire defense the last month of the season.
First sack of the game either way. Timeout was taken by the Steelers, and now Ladarius Green is brought down at the 30. A gain of just 1. 3rd down and long coming up. And another timeout is taken, and it's by the Giants. It's the Giants timeout, not the Steelers, and they're out of timeouts. This December, from the producer of Empire, follow 3 talented singers as they struggle to find fame, featuring Queen Latifah, Benjamin Bratt, and Lenny Kravitz. Star special premiere December 14th after the Empire fall finale. So there are the timeouts remaining. 2 for the Steelers, none for Eli Manning in the offense, and the Giants come in with a terrific record. The 6-game win streak has them at 8-3, but they're trailing an 11-1 Dallas team that won a road game on Thursday at the Vikings by 2. 3rd and 16. Here's a screen for Bell. And Bell is going to come up short of the 1st down. The Giants cannot stop the clock. And we'll see if Mike Tomlin wants the field goal unit to come on. It's 4th down, and he has the luxury of waiting here if he wishes and using a timeout before he really has to make up his mind. It's 4th and 2.
They made it interesting there with 3rd and long once again with the safe throw and a screen pass, and they get it close.
Field goal would be a 34-yard try for Randy Bullock, and there's the timeout. And remember, Bullock is no sure bet. He was just brought in off the street. He is hit from 44 in this game. And in an 11-0 game, it'll be a field goal try for the Steelers. I'm Joe Buck with the Hall of Famer Troy Aikman, and offense not too good so far for the New York Giants. I guess a good job here by the Giants holding the Steelers for this upcoming field goal try.
I think overall the Giants defense has been pretty good. I think the difference when you look at this game here in this first half is the red zone interception by Eli Manning. I mean, that was a 9-point swing at least. You know, if you get the field goal there, the Steelers were able to score the touchdown. They go for 2. They end up with 6 points, but that was a big turning point in this ballgame.
Here's Bullock, and he's 2 for 2. Welcome to town, Randy Bullock. From 44, now 34. And it's a 14-0 game with only 24 seconds left. NFL players are champions on the field and off as they support the causes they care about in hopes of making a positive change in our world. This week, they're proudly displaying the charitable causes they champion on their game day cleats. Discover more of their personal tributes at NFL.com/mycleats. Rather, My Cause, My Cleats. You've got Antonio Brown, who's honoring the Big Brothers Big Sisters program. Odell Beckham honoring the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I think it's a nice touch by the NFL to allow this to happen.
I would agree. I think that so many times the league decides for these players what the causes are, and I think it was a great idea that they let these players show the different causes that they support. And there are a lot of players, as we see, that have taken advantage of that. But you go around the league in these various cities, and on these players' days off, whether it's a Monday or a Tuesday, it depends on the organization. There's a lot of players in this league going around the community and making a difference and impacting a lot of people. And it's good to see what's happening around the league with them being able to represent their charities.
Meanwhile, when we came on camera, you saw the pins on our lapels, MVP. That's a project that our own Jay Glazer started. Great piece with him during the pregame as they are on the USS Missouri in Pearl Harbor with the program he's put together. Merging veterans and former pro players to give veterans returning home something to hang on to. Let's go down to Erin Andrews.
Well, here are the cleats that Eli Manning wore during pregame today on Friday. We love this video. He had some kids sign a pair of his cleats for a cause he's, like I mentioned, wearing. The kids are part of Eli's Tackle Kids Cancer Foundation. He changed out his cleats for the game, but he wrote the kids' names on the ones he's wearing right now. Love this video. Love those smiles. Awesome.
Eli Manning now is in a position with 18 seconds left, no timeouts. Shamarko Thomas is down. He's been bothered by a groin injury, and he pops up after they give him a look. And this is why he was down. Number 29 just gets drilled by a guy who was just added, Eric Pinkins, to the active roster.
Yeah, those are the hits that they're trying to take out of the game. And you're never going to get rid of all of them, but that's a big time collision right there.
And the Giants will be kneeling down here. And again, that Jay Glazer initiative, MVP, merging veterans and former professional football players. Veterans coming home after serving overseas and wondering what they're coming home to, often alone. Good work by Jay. And you can learn more online. America's Game of the Week. This the biggest play of the game. Down 5-0 with the Giants going in. Touchdown throw toward Larry Donnell, picked off by Lawrence Timmons. A red zone interception. And in the end, it's a 14-0 Steelers lead at the half. Here comes Kurt and the guys in LA. Today's excitement brought to you by the new Nissan Titan. Today's excitement brought to you by the new Nissan Titan. 14-0, and the Giants will start the second half with the football. And as we welcome you inside our broadcast booth from the camera that usually just hovers down behind the quarterback in the offense, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, and time for the Giants to get something done here, my friend, offensively.
Yeah, they got to sustain a drive. They're going to get the ball here to start this second half, and it's continued to be a struggle. I mean, you expected it to be somewhat of a struggle here against a good defensive team, and neither team has run the ball particularly well, but the see you later. But the Steelers, they've made more plays in the passing game, and I think the real key also in this, in addition to what the Giants are able to do offensively, is, can they get more pressure on Roethlisberger? They had the 1 sack. They've gotten to him a few other times with some pressures, but yet they've been able to convert on some big third downs too.
Time of possession a problem in this game and all year. Hard to believe the Giants at 8-3 are 31st in the NFL. Only the 49ers coming into this week, week 13, have possessed the ball less as far as time on the clock than the Giants. It's been a quiet half for Odell Beckham. Second half is starting now. He was guilty of an offensive pass interference. Frustration. He had a catch called back because of penalty. Got a little extra business after the end of the play from Mitchell.
Well, they did go to him early in this ball game when he got called for the pass interference. They like to get him involved early in games. Heck, every team likes to get their best players involved early. But in a game like this, when he's going up against like a guy like Antonio Brown and making the comparisons, then you start putting even more pressure on yourself to have a big day.
First play from scrimmage, pass is caught. Here's Beckham. They try to get him involved right away, and Beckham gave up some yardage after going around Shazier and ends up with a gain of 4. In case you're wondering, on the other side, Antonio Brown, 4 catches, 42 yards and a touchdown. He's been targeted 5 times.
Well, you think about that game last week, last Thanksgiving, for Antonio Brown, targeted 6 times, had 5 receptions, 3 of them go for touchdowns. He can do it all. He can be a possession receiver. He can be a deep receiver. He can make big plays. He's special. There's no holes in his game.
Second down. Here is a pass broken up. Beckham gets up looking for a flag. Doesn't get one on Cockrell. It's third down coming up. Aaron, what'd you learn?
Well, I learned Mike Tomlin telling me that he expects Eli Manning to make some adjustments here, and he said we need to be one step ahead. Ben McAdoo said let's take care of the ball, let's get rid of the penalties. Some updates, guys. Jason Pierre-Paul done for the day with a groin. Cody Sensabaugh, cornerback, he has been taken to the hospital for further tests on his ribs and chest.
The big hit there is JPP. He was the NFC Defensive Player of the Week last week. 3rd and 6. Giants suffer a sack. Down goes Eli Manning with Harrison in there, and he was not alone. Chicolo, a couple others. It's 4th down.
Well, they got Rashad Jennings over here, and he's in position to try to make a block on James Harrison. Harrison just goes right over the top of him. You can't block James Harrison like that. And you go low on someone on 3-step drops, but he just went to the ground, and Eli, that was self-preservation there.
So a 3 and out to start the second half for the Giants. Not a great punt. Flag is down immediately, and Brown will stay away from it. Tapped down at the 38. Odell Beckham wanted a call earlier on Cockrell on a second down play. Didn't get the flag.
During the kick, personal foul, grasping the face mask. Receiving team number 14. 15-yard penalty, first down, timeout.
You could see Beckham working the official. Meanwhile, it was Sammy Coates who was guilty of a face mask on that punt return, and so that will move the ball from the 42 backward. And here's the penalty on Coates, who got a hold of the face mask there of Roger Lewis Jr. Coates is frustrated. He's got 2 broken fingers that are taped together on his left hand, and he's made only 1 catch over the last 6 games coming in. He is a guy who's got speed to take the top off a defense. Would really be a nice addition back into this offense if he could get his confidence back, but right now he's hurt.
White 80. White set.
From the 23, here's Bell. You see the patience on flag. And it's a hold against the Steelers.
Holding offense, number 66. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Against the Pro Bowler David DeCastro, who's made all 12 starts at right guard.
Well, let's take a look. David DeCastro, he's shaking his head. He doesn't like the call. Landon Collins is there, number 21, and hooks him, and that's it's a good call. Doesn't grab, but he's hooking him. And how about Landon Collins in the year that he's had? He's been terrific. He's good around the line of scrimmage, and you just watch him on film and the confidence that he is playing with right now. He's turned himself into one of the real elite safeties in this game.
A couple of penalties, the ball back at the 13. Here's Brown, and a good play by Jenkins. Janoris Jenkins, who was a second-round pick by the then St. Louis Rams in 2012. First year after joining the Giants as a free agent. He is a good cover corner. Good play here.
Well, and it's a good play because he reads it and he doesn't wait. As soon as he sees Antonio Brown start working back in towards the formation, he goes and attacks it and makes the play before the thing gets set up.
Second and 21 now.
He's had a heck of a year for this defense too. A lot of question marks around the league when the Giants went out and paid him what they did to get him, but he's been one of their best players.
Delayed handoff to Bell. No room. Harrison eventually in on the tackle. Landon Collins as well. 3rd and 17. And now Troy, because of those penalties and the play made a moment ago by Janoris Jenkins, here's a big 3rd down and an opportunity for this Giants defense against Todd Haley's offense to win a little field position battle and force a punt.
Yeah, they weren't very good there in 3rd downs in the first half like they had been here over the last 4 weeks, but they got a chance to give the ball to the offense with pretty good field position. Let's see what Haley does. He's gotten the ball out quick on these other 3rd and longs.
3rd and 17, Roethlisberger out to his left, skips it in to Ladarius Green. And those penalties, the play by Jenkins, the work by the Giants defense is playing so well, and they should get field position here in the good category, down by 14.
Yeah, so Steelers special teams, they get backed up a little bit already with the call there on Sammy Coates, and now you see Odell Beckham back there with Dwayne Harris to receive the punt.
Every Giant drive is started inside their own 30. Remember, late on the punt return team onto the field, and the punt here is driven out of bounds by Jordan Berry. And this will be the first time the Giants start outside the 30. They're going to start at the 40. Their own 40, down by 14 early second half.
Sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. By Ford. We go further so you can. And by Burger King. Now get 10 nuggets for only $1.49. Only at Burger King.
Western Pennsylvania Model Railroad Museum features a model train setting of 1953 downtown Pittsburgh. This is a great city. Over 300 model trains, 6,500 plus feet of train tracks. Giants get it for the second time in this second half. Good field position at the 40. What do they do with it? Start with a big throw, and the pass caught by Beckham out of bounds near the 40. And they're going to give them those extra few yards to the 37. Gain of 23.
You just feel like right now with this field position, the best they've had all night. Excellent route by Odell Beckham. He sticks him to the middle and then goes to the corner, and that's what creates the separation and the easy throwing lane for Eli Manning. But now they're across the 50 once again, and they need to start capitalizing on a drive like this and get some points and climb back into this game.
Longest play of the game for the Giants, 23 yards. Here's Beckham again. I think we know what they're going to try to do. Get 13 involved, and why wouldn't you? Beckham is the dynamic receiver. We showed you him smiling and clapping when Antonio Brown got the touchdown earlier in the game. Beckham and Brown trained in the offseason together in LA. They're good friends. They were together for a moment last night. Sent out a video of them together on social media.
It's all about social media.
Second and 3. That's Beckham. Hand off to Perkins. And Perkins down inside the 15. And the Giants in business here in quarter number 3. A carry of 18 yards.
Well, Marshall Newhouse, he does a good job there at left guard. The kick out by Will Tye, and that creates the lane then for Paul Perkins. And he's a dynamic guy. They like him. He's solid in a lot of areas. He gives them a little something that Rashad Jennings does not. And he finds the lane and has another nice game.
Longest run by plenty, 18 yards.
Ho, ho, ho!
For Paul Perkins.
50.
End zone. Beckham almost picked by Sean Davis. Off Beckham's hand, then off Davis's hand, and Beckham is up yelling at the back judge.
This was close to being another interception, and Eli, it really kind of gets away from him with the safety to the outside, too deep look. You got to lead him more to the middle, and Davis almost gets him one. And we've seen that a lot from Odell Beckham. I know there's frustration. I think you just got to go play, and you can't continually worry about whether you're getting calls.
Second and 10. Manning, end zone. Incomplete. Great coverage on Beckham by the rookie Artie Burns. Beckham now looks at the field judge on his way back to the huddle. Third and 10.
There's no one down here if they snap the ball, but they're getting out on Roger Lewis now.
Third down and 10. Manning steps into it. Pass is caught. Depends on where they spot him, and they're going to get forward progress in a first down at the 1. Beckham made the grab.
I think that.
And now they move it back.
From here, it looked like that might be pretty generous.
Well, the first official walked in at the 1. The other official grabbed the ball and moved it back. And they're a yard shy of a first down, and the Giants will go for it.
A little grab there by
clear where that ball should be.
Yeah, and Artie Burns, the rookie, looks like there definitely has been contact on Odell Beckham that could have been called, and that's why he's showing so much frustration.
Fourth down and 1. Giants need it. Pass is broken up by Shazier. Tye was the target. And the Giants come up empty again. Ben McAdoo goes for it on 4th and 1. And on America's Game of the Week, as Shazier makes the play, still 14-0 Steelers. Well, Shazier made the defensive play on Will Tye. The Giants had 86 yards all game before that last drive. That one produced 57 yards, but still no points. Thrown an interception in the end zone and now come up empty, going for it on 4th and 1. With the ball at the 3, Le'Veon Bell is to the 5. Back to that 4th down play.
Well, what sets it up is Timmons. He gets a free run. It looked like the right guard, John Jerry, has a breakdown in assignment, and that's why Timmons has a free shot on Manning. And if Manning had been able to hang in the pocket, he hits Odell Beckham right there. There's no doubt that was his primary guy. He has a chance, and he's caught off guard because he's got an unblocked rusher in his face and has to just unload it on 4th down. Timmons now has come up big twice. They're in the red zone.
It was Eli's 8th pass attempt this half, and the first one not intended for Beckham. 2nd and 8. Roethlisberger from the end zone. Pass broken up. Collins, man, is he playing or what? Kobe Hamilton, the intended target, and Landon Collins in his 2nd year is becoming a star.
Yeah, he really is terrific. And like I said, I mean, he's become a real playmaker for this defense. And leads the team with 5 interceptions, and to tell you how dynamic he's been, shoot, he's 3rd on the team with 3 sacks. So he has been a playmaker in a lot of different areas, and he's a guy that they can build this defense around in the years ahead.
Collins with 5 tackles in this game and 3 pass defense.
Another big 3rd down for this Giants defense.
It is 3rd and 8. Roethlisberger throws, and the pass is caught for a 1st down. Ladarius Green with a terrific catch, and it looked like Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie was right there. What a throw by Roethlisberger.
Well, it's a tight window there with zone coverage, and you're going to see what Ben Roethlisberger sees, and Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, he's got eyes on the quarterback, and he's able to drive on it. It's a good catch by Green in traffic, hanging on to it. But once again, in the middle, boy, there was all kinds of open space for Roethlisberger. No pressure whatsoever.
Here's Bell. Ball's out. Ball is out, and the Giants have it. It was recovered by Eli Apple, and the Giants get a takeaway, exactly what they needed, as they take over inside the 20. And it looked, at least live, like Le'Veon Bell was on bodies, but obviously with a turnover, it will be looked at. Here it is. Was a knee down, was an arm down. And the ball's out by the time he hits. The question is there anything that shows Bell's knee down? The call on the field is fumble, recovered by Apple.
A lot of bodies there. The way Le'Veon Bell was going back after it, sure seemed that he didn't feel that he was down.
That'll be the 4th fumble, first lost by Le'Veon Bell, and Mike Pereira joins us from Los Angeles. Mike, what did you see back there?
Well, we've looked at all the shots trying to find the knees. You get the hand down, but the ball's already coming out, so we don't think there's anything that could change this into being anything other than a fumble.
But they're going to look at it. And we'll get the call when we come back. A booth review on the turnover inside the 20.
It is sponsored by Verizon. It's always a great gift on Verizon.
We'll get the call right away from Terry McCauley.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. 1st down, New York.
Jonathan Casillas forced it. Landon Collins was right in the middle of it yet again. But once Bell got stood up, watch Casillas rip it out. Recovered by Eli Apple as everybody kind of was standing around there for a moment. And there's a reaction from Le'Veon Bell. 3rd time in the red zone for the Giants.
Well, Kobe Hamilton had a chance to fall on it. He tried to grab it instead. Eli Apple is able to get it away from him.
They start with a run with Jennings. Rashad Jennings is good for 4. Ricardo Matthews on the tackle. For the Steelers, they've protected the ball really well. Come into this game having won their last 2 after a 4-game losing streak. It's their first turnover in their last 4 games. It snaps their longest streak since 2014. 2nd and 6. Jennings on a screen to the end zone, touchdown. Well-designed play. And Jennings finally able to break through for the Giants.
Well, it was set up well. We saw this action earlier with Odell Beckham going in motion. They faked the handoff to Jennings this time and then act like they maybe would hand it off to Beckham and get the flow going the other way, and then the screen back to Jennings. And Lawrence Timmons down here, he felt that he was held when he was trying to make a play. It looked like it was Eric Flowers who he was thinking was holding him, but touchdown Giants, and one that they desperately needed.
Robbie Gould has missed 3 extra points over the last 2 games. Drills this. Lawrence Timmons may have had a point. In the end, it's a 13-yard touchdown throw to Rashad Jennings. And there's Timmons and why he was upset. But it's a 7-point game in Pittsburgh. First touchdown catch of the season for Rashad Jennings, but here is why Lawrence Timmons was upset that there was no holding call against Eric Flowers. He had a case.
Yeah, I'd say so.
From out of the end zone, it's Sammy Coates. Can't make it to the 25. And a flag is down.
During the return, holding, receiving team number 98. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Some penalties in this second half have hurt the Steelers. This season, Fox and the NFL are celebrating football families in the incredible ways that game day brings people together. Today, Jeanette Warwick and her 6 foster kids experienced their first ever Pittsburgh Steelers game as a family. Before the game, they took over our production truck, which from the look of things, they have a future in this business. There's a guy sitting in Richie Zion's chair looking completely uninterested in anything that is going on in the booth. And there's the Warwick family. What a great story, and glad they're with us here today at Heinz Field.
Well, it's so great. It's amazing how few people get an opportunity to go to a stadium and watch an NFL game live. So another great thing that the NFL's doing, and good for that family.
Roethlisberger hangs in and finds Green. He stays on his feet and is down near the 45. Got through a hit from Landon Collins and picks up 33.
Well, they got bodies around Roethlisberger, but this is his greatness. He just hangs in there and does whatever he has to do in order to deliver a ball. You got Ladarius Green splitting the double team, and what a weapon he has been able to provide for Ben Roethlisberger. And what they've been lacking is somebody at the tight end position that can get down the field when the attention is being focused on Antonio Brown, and he's made a few big plays now in recent weeks.
Here's Le'Veon Bell, just ducks tackles and gets another first down. That looked like there was nothing there, and Le'Veon Bell gets 12.
Well, you see it time after time. I mean, there is nothing there in the middle. You see Damon Harrison is down, but Le'Veon Bell, he's having to stutter there in the pocket and try to wait for something to open up, and then there's a good look at the footwork. And typically when you start dancing around at the line, you're not going to go anywhere, but he usually finds a crease in the balance. He's trying to make up for that fumble that cost this team 7 points.
Steve Spagnuolo is the defensive coordinator for the Giants. He calls the guy who's walking off the field under his own power, Damon Harrison, the glue to this defense, picked up from the Jets. And he's been a leader as well. There's the footwork of Le'Veon Bell, and at the end of that play, you see Harrison come in, grabbing at the back of his right leg now. First down for the Steelers. 5.5 to go, third quarter.
He's been a terrific player in this league. The Jets were a top 5 run defense while he was the starter there, and the New York Giants have been as well. 9 tackles last Sunday, and that win over Cleveland.
Here's Le'Veon Bell with Kerry Wynn in on the stop. The Giants, in what was a really poor defense last year, were number 24 against the run in 2015. There's 98 in the middle of it. Spinning away from blockers, both Pouncey and DeCastro. And now he's on the sideline. As Troy said, Giants are 5th defending against the run this season.
Right here.
Second and 6, pass to the sideline for Brown, and the catch is made. And Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie doesn't agree. It looked live like this was close. Let's take a peek. Catch Right foot, left foot, tap down. That's incredible.
Yeah, that's amazing. And here it is here. That was, yep, that's in. You can see the green grass between the foot and the line.
Not leaving anything to chance. The Steelers get up and snap the ball in a hurry. Hand it to Bell, who gets one.
This is a great throw here by Ben Roethlisberger when he cut it loose. And how about the route? Antonio Brown, he gets Janoris Jenkins completely turned around, and then he works back down towards the line of scrimmage so that he gives Janoris Jenkins no angle to come back on it. He's something else. There's some amazing athletes, two of them in this game playing the wide receiver position in our league, and Antonio Brown is among the best.
2nd and 9. Here's Bell. Turned around and saw 3 giant tacklers waiting for him. Gain of 5. Let's go to Kurt with a game break.
Well, the Arizona Cardinals turn a Kirk Cousins fumble into points. Carson Palmer picking up with Michael Floyd. Nice catch. Fights his way to the end zone for a 6-yard score. And right now the Cardinals lead at 17-13 late in the third quarter. Go Troy and Aaron.
Yeah, that's a big one, not just in the division, but for the rest of the NFC playoff picture. You see the West, the Arizona Cardinals, who made it to the NFC Championship game, start the day at 4-6-1. But it's big on Washington's part. Touchdown Green. What a game. A breakout effort in his first year with the Steelers. Six catches, 110 yards, and now a touchdown.
See the safety here comes up, and he's expecting the ball to come out, and then it was Landon Collins, and you can tell Landon Collins knew that he busted coverage and just made for an easy touchdown.
Boy, that is a big weapon. They're getting integrated into this offense in his 4th game coming off ankle surgery. He's over 110 yards, has a touchdown, lead back to 14 for Pittsburgh. Small screen, stadium-sized content. Watch live local Sunday games on your smartphone with NFL Mobile. It's America's Game of the Week, and it's a 14-point game again as the Steelers answer immediately. Bullock will kick it away. Zone back to the touchdown to Green.
They put Kobe Hamilton down here. They're going to fake the wide receiver screen. You got press here, and he's running up the sideline. That's initially who Roethlisberger was going to, but then Ladarius Green flashes for him because of the overplay by the safety Landon Collins. They see it. They've run it several times already in this game, and they catch Landon Collins, and that's why Ladarius Green was as open as he was. And what a job by Ben Roethlisberger in this offense after the Giants are able to cut the game to 7, and then they come right down on the next possession and answer with a touchdown of their own. In confusion right now with the Giants.
Rashad Jennings was late getting off the sideline. Comes scrambling in like he wasn't ready.
He's moving towards the line too. That should be a penalty.
Pass is caught by Sterling Shepard.
Trying to get his chin strap buckled, and
gain of 7 to Shepard.
This has not been good by this Giants offense.
2nd and 3. Time of possession leaning heavily toward the Steelers, who lead by 14. Jennings, and he's wrapped up by Cockrell immediately. And a loss of 4.
I'm not really sure what that play was supposed to be. You've got a corner who has safety help. Cockrell's right there. And there was no chance of that going anywhere.
Now 3rd and 7. 4 men on the rush. Manning with time, and the pass broken up. Beckham the target, and the play made by Mike Mitchell.
More contact at the time before the ball arrives, and we've seen a lot of that on Odell Beckham. I know he's frustrated. Mike Mitchell, it sure looked to me like he had his right arm wrapped around him before the ball arrived, and just has not gotten the calls in this game.
Line drive punt. And it checks up inside the 35. Back at the 32. And it will stay with Pittsburgh. Fitzgerald Toussaint. You see number 33 come in. He gets shoved right there. It's Zach Diassi, the long snapper, and then it's Dwayne Harris who throws Toussaint, but he stayed away from the football. And the Steelers maintain possession. Would have been forced touching of the football since he got thrown into him anyway. But if you're the Giants, worth a try. And the ball at 32 for Pittsburgh, up by 14. Right now the Steelers are on the outside of the playoff picture. Looking at the top of their division at the Baltimore Ravens at 7-5. Play action from Roethlisberger, and sacked by Olivier Vernon, his second of the game. And a big play by this Giants defense.
Yeah, and they bring over Le'Veon Bell to help out with the backside protection, but yet Olivier Vernon, he gets an inside rush on Villanueva, and he's had a heck of a day. He's been back there, he's made some plays, a couple sacks, and you look at this game and the way it is right now, 21-7 with a minute left in the third quarter, the defense is going to have to force another turnover in order to help this offense out, but cannot give up any more points if they're going to have any kind of chance as they go into this fourth quarter.
Roethlisberger sacked 2 times in this game. He's been sacked only 8 times over the last 8. With his shoulder pad hanging out. This one is for Rodgers, picked off. Eli Apple. And they're going to mark him down. But what an interception by number 24. Just took it out of the arms of Eli Rodgers. And with all that, David DeCastro, the Pro Bowl right guard, is slow to get up. But now he's up after the pick thrown by Roethlisberger.
Well, it looked like Eli Rodgers had a chance. The ball was thrown just enough behind him, and he had to slow down to make a play on it. Eli Apple, he's able to then drive on it from the outside and undercut it. But then it's a fight for the ball, and he just takes it away. It's a heck of a play by Eli Apple.
And his first interception. First round pick out of Ohio State. And it comes at a terrific time for the Giants.
Yeah, it sure does. And the Giants had the short field when they got their 1 touchdown in this game, and now they've got good field position again. But I think that's what it takes. I just don't think, from what I've seen, the Giants, without the turnovers, are capable of driving the length of the field in this game.
44 seconds left, third quarter. Over the middle, pass is caught. That's the tight end, Jarrell Adams. And Adams has a first down for the Giants. Back to the pick.
Yeah, we'll take another look at it in the slot and see kind of what Roethlisberger sees. And if he's able to lead him up the field a little bit, what scares him is the safety, Leon Hall, and you got to try to navigate him. But Ben tries to fit one in, but it was really more of a good play by Eli Apple, driving from the outside and undercutting the throw.
Tight ends in the backfield. And that's going to do it for the third quarter. So we'll go to the fourth in a 14-point game. Back after this from your local Fox station. It's the day for Eli Manning. 139 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Beckham 5 catches. Have had him much more involved in this second half. First down as we start the fourth quarter, and the Giants need to drive. Down by 14 on America's Game of the Week.
50-50.
Perkins takes it just inside the 40. Shazier on the tackle, a gain of 4.
Ryan Shazier, he's some kind of linebacker too. You start talking about the great linebackers in the history of this organization. There's not anything he can't do. He's got great speed. He's tough as nails, and he's a good blitzer. He's good in coverage. When he's healthy, he's as good as there is. Man in the middle of the field.
Here's Perkins, made a man miss. Lowers his shoulder and comes close to first down yardage. He's going to be about a yard short. It's been a physical game, as you would expect, with these two teams coming together. It'll be 3rd down and 1. Sensabaugh, Pierre-Paul, Hargrave out with a concussion. The rookie in the middle, and that's where Perkins goes for the first down. Shamarko Thomas is hurt as well. Paul Perkins has been more and more the back for the Giants. His great uncle Don, former Dallas Cowboys fullback, who's in the Ring of Honor in the Rookie of the Year back in 1961. 5th round pick out of UCLA.
Back.
Here he is again. And there's Harrison meeting him at the 30. A gain of 2.
That's some tough yardage there in the middle, but like you said, when they lost Javon Hargrave and then of course Cameron Hayward, who was out a few weeks back, and Hargrave came in and essentially has kind of taken his role in a lot of these different looks defensively, but 2 really good players, and right now, at least on this drive, that's where the Giants have tried to run the football.
Hey, we got duel. Hey, 94. Over here.
2nd down and 8. Pass to Beckham. And then Beckham shakes a tackler, but he loses a lot of forward progress. Ross Cockrell couldn't bring him down. But in the end, it works to the Steelers' advantage. They were going to get Beckham forward progress to make the 3rd down shorter, but once he threw Cockrell away, well, he only made it to the 30.
Yeah, Beckham just trying to turn a short gain into a big play rather than just try to get up the field after the catch and get as much as he could out of it.
And in the end, it was a catch for no gain. 3rd and 8. That'll be a false start.
Wow.
On the left tackle, Eric Flowers.
False start. Offense. Number 74. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
There he is. He definitely left early, and I'm going to back this thing up 5 more yards. I wonder if they're able to get close to the first down, what Ben McAdoo would do if they don't pick it up here on 3rd.
Thinking it may be 4-down territory.
Yeah.
Down by 14, 3rd and 13. Manning, pass broken up for Beckham. Now it's 4th down. And it looks like the Giants are going to go for it.
You see Beckham, and there's a window there, and you try to drive back. It's a good coverage there by Mike Mitchell driving on it.
Now 4th and 13. They missed on 4th and 1 earlier. Manning to his right. Throws back for Shepard. He's picked. Intercepted. And it's Sean Davis, who's got his first interception. And a big return on the end of it. Knocked out across the 45. A flag is down back at the 6. That kid's playing now, Sean
Return
Davis.
after the interception. Illegal block in the back. Intercepting team number 25. 10-yard penalty. First down. Timeout.
There's the foul for the block in the back by Artie Burns, but it's an interception thrown by Manning. Sean Davis, the rookie, has his first in a 14-point game.
Sponsored by Hyundai, an official sponsor of the NFL.
In the end, I guess it's like a well-placed punt with 11:23 left. The ball is back on the Pittsburgh 3.
Now one.
After the block in the back by Artie Burns.
180.
Negated a 41-yard return by Sean Davis. But here's Bell. Collins with a big hit, but a nice start to the drive. A gain of 8. Back to the interception.
Yeah, you're going to see Eli Manning. Here's Davis on the backside, but he was in the middle on the opposite safety position, who undercuts it and makes the interception. But for Eli Manning, what was it, 3rd and 14, and he had a chance underneath to make a completion, but it's not going to get you the first down. 4th down there, or 4th and 14, so you got to take a shot down the field, and he does, and it's intercepted. Doesn't look good, but he had to throw something up and give him a shot, and it was a tough throw to make.
There's Bell again. He waits for something to open up, and he's got a first down. As he picks up 4, and Damon Harrison is in on the stop.
Well, now we'll see if this Giants defense is able to do anything to get the ball back quickly to the offense, and we'll see what they can do. But a lost opportunity there with great field position. After the interception by Eli Apple.
Now one.
Le'Veon Bell now with 132 yards from scrimmage.
280.
He gets a chance for more. Take a look at the AFC. The Steelers, even though they're going to be in the hunt category, have their destiny in their own hands. Although do we not say that anymore in the NFL? But they are 6-5. With a win here, they go to 7-5. That would tie the Ravens. The Ravens beat Pittsburgh earlier in the year, but Mike Tomlin has a date with Baltimore in Week 16, the second to last game of the season, here at home. 2nd and 5. Toss to Bell. 3rd down coming up. The Steelers, who have been so good under Mike Tomlin in the month of December, 28-13, have this remaining schedule at Buffalo, at Cincinnati, and then 2 home games in the division, including ending the year with the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, like I said, last year they were 6-5, and then they went on to win 4 of their next 5, and I see that kind of emerging again here. They've won 2 in a row. And yeah, they were against Cleveland and Indianapolis and some struggling teams, but they're starting to hit their stride a little bit, and this is a dangerous, talented football team.
Giants need a stop, and they get it. It's the rookie again who just had the interception, knocking it away from Ladarius Green, and Eli Apple made the play to force a punt.
Well, he sure did, and Ladarius Green, he's a big target down the middle, and a hold that Eli Apple has a hold of the back of his jersey, and they missed that one. But the Giants, nevertheless, they are able to force a punt, see if their offense can do something.
This is going to be a flag against the Steelers for too many men on the field. Antonio Brown was tired, I guess, but he took forever to get off the field, and when that ball was snapped, Antonio Brown was still trying to get off the field. Dwayne Harris on the return, and this one is against Pittsburgh on Brown. Harris came away limping. He has had a season filled with injuries. Came in with a bothered wrist. They can tack on 5 yards here to the end and put the ball right in midfield if they want, or force a repunt.
Illegal substitution offense. 12 men on the field at the snap. 5-yard penalty added to the end of the play. First down, timeout.
Well, this game is a long way from over. Ball's going to be at midfield for the Giants, who need to make something happen, trailing by 14. 8:22 left. The penalty on Antonio Brown. By the time he gets near the sideline, he's to a slow walk, and that moves the ball to midfield. Opportunity for the Giants, down by 14. Pass to Beckham. Inside the 35, inside the 30, and down to the 25. Good start to this drive as Eli completes it for 25 to number 13.
They got Odell Beckham. He's running the dig route over the middle and hits him in stride, and off he goes. And obviously right now, if the Giants are going to do it, they're going to have to start right now with this drive and punching it in for the end zone.
There he is again. Gives up that forward progress and then gets popped. That's just a 1-yard gain. Jarvis Jones and Lawrence Timmons in on the stop. 2nd and 9 coming up.
We can't say that they didn't try getting the ball to Odell Beckham. I mean, Eli Manning is looking for him on virtually every snap.
And that's been certainly the case here in the second half. 2nd and 9. Here's one off the hands of Beckham. 3rd and 9. Remember the last time the Giants had the ball, they went for it on a 4th down. Manning threw an interception to Sean Davis. Had he knocked it down, the field position story would be a lot different.
Oh, that one, Ryan Shea went right through the hands of Ryan Shazier. He could have caught that ball.
Well, now 3rd down and 9. Too high, and then a hit at the end of it and a flag for it. They are going to call Mike Mitchell for a hit on Will Tye. And Mitchell is over there to argue. Watch the hit at the end of it on 45.
Yeah, and you're going to see two guys, Will Tye and Sterling Shepard, kind of on the same line. And, you know, he's thinking the ball is being thrown to Will Tye, and I could see where he would think that. The ball was, you know, off of it. It wasn't an illegal hit. It was to the chest with the shoulder pad, and I'm really not sure who exactly Eli was throwing the ball to there. It was way out in front of Sterling Shepard and behind Will Tye, but I think that's a bad call against Mike Mitchell if it holds up.
There's no foul for unnecessary roughness. 4th down.
They're going to pick it up. One official overruled the other. Mitchell came in to plead his case, and I think that's a good pickup of a flag. What did you think, Mike Pereira?
Agree 100%. The ball had just gone over his head, but he leads with the shoulder to the chest, no head or neck area contact. Great job there.
So they pick up the flag, and instead of a 1st down by penalty, here's another 4th down. It's 4th and 9. 0 for 2 on 4th down in the game of the Giants. Manning sacked. Ricardo Matthews was in there, was not alone. And now the Giants 0 for 3 on 4th down, and Ben McAdoo's homecoming not going well. 21-7, Steelers on top.
Team is sponsored by Taco Bell's new Steakhouse Burrito and Steakhouse Nachos.
Look at the quarterback comparison. The number 1 draft pick overall in 2004 against the number 11 overall pick. There are the numbers. And the first draft to ever produce 3 40,000-yard passers. Eli, Ben, and Philip. And Eli and Ben each with 2 Super Bowl wins. Here's Le'Veon Bell left side. We go back to the 4th down play and the sack of Eli Manning.
Well, really good coverage on the outside with the rookie Artie Burns, and then Shepard in the middle. They're running a 2 deep look, so they're trying to run a double move. It's 4th and long. Eli Manning didn't see any of that because he had pressure right in his face immediately. Got edge pressure from James Harrison, and then Ricardo Matthews. He's along with Arthur Moats. It was a complete jailbreak there up front, and Manning just had no opportunity at all.
Toss to Bell. Le'Veon Bell inside the 50 into Giants territory. Olivier Vernon downfield on the tackle after a 19-yard run.
Pretty good. The guy's got amazing quickness and speed, but he's also got some power and breaks tackles. He's the most complete back that I've seen in the league in quite some time because of the things that he's able to do as a receiver. I think eventually Ezekiel Elliott will be doing a lot of the same things in Dallas that we've been watching from Le'Veon Bell, but he's really terrific, and he's starting to turn it loose now in the 4th as you see the rain falling down.
Rain, sleet, a little snow. Here is Bell, and he now has the first 100-yard game against the Giants defense all year. And the first since Adrian Peterson, week 16 of last year. Le'Veon Bell is a serious game breaker.
He's coming off back-to-back 100-yard games already against the Cleveland Browns and the Indianapolis Colts. And you're right, not many backs have had much success against this Giants defense. As you said, nobody over 100 yards, and they've stuck with it, and it's paid off. And that's really been the biggest difference with this offense, is that they've been able to get Le'Veon Bell going the last 3 weeks.
This one on first down, Bell brought down by Harrison. The Giants' strength of schedule, and everybody's been talking about the teams they've beaten during this 6-game win streak, and now into today, 35-20-1, and that includes the Steelers, who come in 1 game over 500, about to go to 2 games over 500. The Giants' win streak is in jeopardy here in the 4th quarter in Pittsburgh. They have a Sunday night game coming up at home against the Cowboys next week. 2nd and 7, more for Bell. And let's go to Kurt with a game break.
All right, Tampa and San Diego keep going back in the 4th. Bucks down by a point. Not anymore. Cameron Brate, 12-yard score. They had the 2-point conversion, and now they lead by a touchdown, trying to tie Atlanta for first place in the NFC South with a win. Joe, Troy, and Aaron.
And how about the run they're on? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They've won 3 straight. They beat Seattle at home last week. They have a win over Kansas City. They're trying to win in San Diego. And you see on that right side, trying to get to 7 and 5. 3rd and 3. Bell again. And the Giants defense stands him up. 4th down.
Well, that game you talk about next week between the Giants and Cowboys, if the Giants do go on to lose this game, which it looks like is going to happen, that game loses a little bit of its luster. You know, the Cowboys don't clinch anything with a Giants loss today, but I'll tell you what, it sure makes it difficult. They would be down, what, 3 games going into next week's ball game, but they did win the first one, but still, that's a lot of ground to make up with just few to play.
Dallas will go into that game with 9 days of rest after a Thursday game. Steelers are going to use a timeout. And the indication was that they would go for it here on 4th down and try and close this thing out. We've talked about the Giants, and worthwhile talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know we've said it a couple of times in this game already. The Steelers, they are gaining momentum, and they've got it all sitting out in front of them here down the stretch. They are a tough December football team under Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, I think we've seen, and we still don't really know exactly about the defense. When they faced some offenses that were struggling, Cleveland certainly was. The Colts were without Andrew Luck, and now they play against the Giants offense that's been struggling for a good part of the year. But offensively, if they can start getting a little bit healthier with some of those wide receivers, but continue to do the things in the run game that we've seen from Le'Veon Bell and the balance that they've been able to strike. This team has playoff experience. They've got good coaches. I wouldn't want to be a team facing the Pittsburgh Steelers if they get hot here in the end of this year.
4th down and 3. Pass is caught. 1st down Steelers. And it's Jesse James, the tight end. A conversion on 4th down, and the Steelers will now be in a position to just run it down on their way to win number 7.
Well, I know for Todd Haley and Mike Tomlin, you know, they said, hey, there's got to be somebody other than Antonio Brown making plays in the passing game, and they've been able to get that. And they've got it from Ladarius Green in a big way in this game.
2-minute warning here at Pittsburgh.
Game on Fox is sponsored by State Farm, here to help life go right.
Well, the Steeler fans will go home happy. 2 minutes left in this game. The Giants do have 3 timeouts, but it's a 2-score game. Pittsburgh with a 1st down inside the 25 at the 23. Giants will go home and prepare for a visit from the Cowboys next Sunday night. While the Steelers are at Buffalo, then at Cincinnati the next 2 weeks. Here's Bell, man. They just keep running him. And now Foster, looked like Foster kicked one of the Giants. He was upset with all the extra stuff going on with Le'Veon Bell. And that got ugly fast. Let's try and figure out what exactly went on in that pile.
Charge timeout, New York.
And the Giants will take a timeout. We'll show that to you when we come back. Timeout Giants. They have 2 left, down by 14. Look at the list that Mike Tomlin will join. 10+ win seasons and no losing seasons all time. These are 3 of the greats: George Allen, Vince Lombardi, John Madden. Meanwhile, here's what was so upsetting to Ramon Foster. Look at what they're doing to the neck of Le'Veon Bell. Foster then throws down Kelvin Shepherd. Doesn't really kick him, more like drives a knee into him just a little bit. But you know why Foster was upset. He had every reason to be, as they were
He just throws another
wrenching the head of Le'Veon Bell in the middle of that pile.
Absolutely.
Now 3rd down and 7, and the Giants are down to 1 timeout. We look ahead to next week. Fox NFL kickoff starts at 11 a.m. Eastern. Then it's our pregame show. Fox NFL Sunday, America's #1 pregame show. And then this slate of games, which includes the Seahawks at the Packers. The Packers won today. Snowy day against Houston. Seattle Seahawks will be there. Seahawks lead the NFC West. And we'll be at Lambeau Field for that one. 3rd down and 7 here.
91. Bill. 101. Yeah.
Bell still in the backfield.
Blue 80. Blue 80.
Here's one to the end zone, and for Ladarius Green, too far. That's the guy who's made the difference today, Ladarius Green. Green has had a 100-yard receiving day. He's got his first touchdown as a Steeler, first year of a 4-year, $20 million deal. And whether it's Sammy Coates or Ladarius Green or Eli Rogers or Kobe Hamilton, somebody else has to do something in this Steeler offense, not named Antonio Brown.
Well, they got it today, like you said, from Ladarius Green, a big day, and someone now who defenses are going to have to concern themselves with. That's only going to help Antonio Brown.
Here's a 38-yard try, and it glances off the upright and in. Randy Bullock, who was signed this weekend, is 3 for 3. So he's had a nice day, taking over for the injured Chris Boswell, and this a kiss, as Raph would say. A kiss. Missed opportunities for the Giants. Red zone interception thrown by Eli Manning. Timmons then returned it, had a 4th and 1, went for it, didn't get it. And then on a 4th and 13, I believe, thrown back across the field, just hoping the interception in the first in the young, good career of Sean Davis.
10-yard penalty.
And going for it on another 4th down, Eli Manning took a sack.
Well, hey, Joe, we came into this game talking about, at 8-3, just what are the Giants? And those are the questions around the league that are following this game. And they said, well, we're going to have some answers, I guess, following this one. And as they move through the remainder of their schedule, considering the opponents that they have to face, and this wasn't good. I mean, if you come off of it and you say, what are the Giants? Well, the Giants I think they're still a really good defensive unit, but offensively, they're just simply not very good. And is it going to be good enough to get them into the postseason? If they don't play better than they played tonight, they're going to have a hard time next week against Dallas and throughout the rest of the games. And they may find themselves on the outside looking in January.
Giants were coming into this game looking for balance. They ran it 14 times to this point, threw it 36. And they've been behind from the beginning since an early safety. Here's Rainey on the return. Out across the 45 in what is a 17-point game. Saturday, Big East College Hoops action returns to Fox. Don't miss Trayvon Blewett, 7th-ranked Xavier, traveling Utah. The excitement tips off Saturday at 5 Eastern on FS1. Giants offensively were better in the second half, but couldn't make up for a no-show in the first half.
Still right now with a minute and a half left in this game, they barely have 200 yards of total offense and failed to capitalize when the defense gave them great field position in the second half of this game.
Manning, and this pass is batted down. And then a flag at the end of it as John Jerry hits the deck. Stephon Tuitt may have been the culprit.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense number 91. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And there it is. Jerry shoved him first, and Tuitt turned around. Normally they get the second guy, and Tuitt, who's the AFC Defensive Player of the Week for his work on Thanksgiving in Indianapolis. And a guy, Troy, they're moving around a lot. Young player. Second-round pick a couple of years ago out of Notre Dame. He's in his 3rd NFL season.
Good player. Yeah, good player. He leads the team in quarterback pressures. He's really quick inside. We've seen that in this ball game. You see it each week. He's really been a good find for them.
They're now moving him around. Here's Beckham. And he's moving around. Slides down, gets himself up outside the 20. Meanwhile, the Steelers lost Javon Hargrave, the rookie nose tackle, to a concussion in this game. They're already without Cam Hayward, who's on IR. And regarded as their best up front. Here's Roger Lewis Jr. with a catch, good for 8. 2nd and 2, Manning. Beckham gets a first down inside the 10, and then Beckham gets thrown down by Burns. 42 seconds and counting.
If nothing else, they're making it entertaining just watching them run around.
Adding to the stats. Here's Beckham and a flag. Mike Mitchell.
Pass interference. Defense number 23. The foul occurred in the end zone. The ball will be placed at the 1-yard line. Automatic first down.
So now from the 1, down by 17, here are the Giants. 1st and goal. Here's one for Shepard for a touchdown.
Pass complete to Shepard.
And Sterling Shepard is in the back corner of the end zone, a 1-yard touchdown flip. And the extra point field goal unit will come on with 26 seconds left.
They got double press, and so that's one of the route combinations where you're able to take advantage of it, and they get Sterling Shepard, and you see William Gay, who's in coverage, man coverage. He gets caught up with the traffic, and it opens things up for the touchdown, but a little too late for feeling good about anything that happened there.
10-point game. Time permitting, we'll take you to Washington at Arizona. I was talking about Arizona. The NFC West is in a spot where Seattle, they play tonight against Carolina. They have that thing by the throat. Arizona 4-6-1 at the start of the day, but there's Washington at 6-4-1. If they lose out there, it starts bringing in some other teams in that wild card chase. The North is led by Detroit at 8-4. Then it's Minnesota and Green Bay tied at 6-6 behind them. Atlanta at 7-5. Tampa Bay trying to get to 7-5.
Yeah, it was shaping up. I mean, when you look at the Cowboys and them at 11-1, I mean, they would just have to completely collapse just about to not have home field advantage throughout. And it was Seattle, and you mentioned Detroit, and then Atlanta. Those three kind of fighting it out to see who was going to, who's going to be the number 2 seed. That's why that loss by Atlanta today, when it looked like, maybe they were going to be able to win it and then go for 2 to gets returned and they end up losing the game. But that will come back, I think, when we look back on it. That will be a huge loss in the seedings for the playoffs.
The OT presented by Lowe's will follow bonus coverage if there is some, and there's a hit on Kobe Hamilton, who is there for Pittsburgh on the onside kick attempt. Our producer Richie Zients, our director Rich Russo. Colby Bourgeois is the MVP down in the truck, pushing all the buttons, all the right ones, and Kobe Hamilton survives as the hit. Associate directors are Jake Jolivet, broadcast associates Brandon Terravaro and Ian Martin, technical producer Pete Chalveris, technical directors I mentioned Colby Bourgeois, the audio mixers, the great Fred Aldis. Dave
Hello,
Schwabe.
Freddie.
Hello, Freddie. Uncle Freddie. Dave Schwabe, our spotter in the booth, and it's Feed on Stats and our editorial consultant Steve Horn. This will be it. That's going to do it. The Pittsburgh Steelers are now 7-5. They've won 3 straight. Ben Roethlisberger now 3-1 in head-to-head matchups against Eli Manning, who represents the Giants, who have their 6-game winning streak come to an end here today. Giants will walk out of here 8-4. We'll take a break and come back. Mike Tomlin and the Steelers know how to play at home in December. They get another win. We're back after this on America's Game of the Week.